It was a year of turmoil in the country, riots in the streets, an election year, a war was raging, and the space race. The year was 1968. Small town life, the Berkshire Hills, the world outside my windowsill. A quiet life, young and carefree, just school and books, afternoon TV. All that changed. In '68, the world got smaller, filled with hate. Shots rang out in Memphis town. Martin Luther King, dead on the ground. Heard my mother moan, my daddy weep. Me, I cried myself to sleep. Could there ever be peace again? The world outside came crashing in. Big signs on each front lawn. The battle lines were clearly drawn. Shots rang out, West Coast Hotel. Bobby Kennedy was dead as well. The TV, it was black and white. Watched it from afternoon till night. Saturdays we'd watch cartoons, but there were body counts on the evening news. It was long ago, but like yesterday, innocence was swept away. The images seared in my brain. A world of fear and pain. December 1968. Apollo 8 blasted into space. George Low sent him round the moon. Earthrise image filled the room. My parents cried, I did too. Finally, some happy news. A year of pain, a year of hate. Apollo 8 saved '68. It was Christmas Day, and a telegram from a stranger read, Apollo 8 saved '68. True stories. A couple of footnotes. There was indeed a telegram received at Mission Control for Frank Borman. Nobody knows who the person was who sent it, but it just read, Apollo 8 saved 1968. With all of the troubles of that year, having the Earthrise image, and everybody on the planet stopped and looked at that and said, oh, you mean we're this little tiny thing in the blackness? It's like, yeah.
Could probably do with that again.
George Low, I mentioned in the last verse, was Deputy Director of NASA for Human Spaceflight. Apollo 8 was supposed to go into low Earth orbit and test the lunar module. The lunar module was late, 6 months late. They went to George Low, who was running the Apollo program, and said, George, what do we do? He said, send 8 to the moon. They didn't know if the engine would relight to bring them home. He had to make that call. He was later president of Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, RPI.
Which is where we met.
Where we met. It's where we went to college. He was a really amazing guy. Best president that university has ever had before or since.
You know, they didn't know either when they lit the engines, like on Earth. That was when communication was blacked out because
They were on
the backside of the moon.
They were on the backside, so like
They were sitting there waiting for them to see if they would come around the moon.
Right.
But yeah, they had to light the engines about halfway behind the moon in order to get the velocity to come back.
Yep.
There was a lot of stuff written about that, and apparently the wives of a couple of the astronauts were really freaked out and just wanted them to do a ballistic trajectory, but a slingshot. But yeah,
Not how it worked.
but it had to happen
Thankfully.
at some point, and he said, let's go and do it.
Yeah.
The other thing that was interesting was they had about 4 weeks or 6 weeks to train for the mission because they had trained for the other mission. And so they suddenly had to do this. And they were coming around the moon that first time, and one of the guys handed another guy a camera and said, look out the window, take this, take
pictures."
pictures. Because they suddenly saw what was coming up.
The ultimate tourists.